When did you decide that now was the time?
It probably started, I thought a lot about it when I got hurt with New York and fractured my foot and ended up coming home and getting released a couple weeks after that. I did a lot of contemplating that month or so in between coming home and making the final decision. But the decision probably started halfway through last year. I was getting to the point where I was talking to, our hitting coach, Chris Johnson in AAA, and I was like, man, if they offered me, a coordinator spot or something that's like a catching coordinator, especially here with the White Sox, like my longest drive is 5 or 6 hours, like might be something to think about. So the process started about halfway through last year because I wasn't playing very much and all that, and just was kind of losing the fun in it. And so I kind of started thinking about it, and then off season was pretty slow. Ended up signing with New York late, and then getting hurt for however many time it's happened in the last couple of years. And then getting released, I was like, I think it's just time. I've been in limbo so much the past couple of years with injuries and taxi squad and this or that. So just kind of the point was like, I think it's time. It's time for me to come home. Like I said in that post, I'd always had people tell me you may not be ready, you may not want it necessarily at that moment, but you'll know when it's time to step away. And that's kind of where I'm at. Like would I love to play baseball for the rest of my life? 100%, but nobody can do that. So I just think at this point in my life, it's time for me to step away.
Hey, and going off that, I know that you've been playing for forever. How tough of a decision was it to step away?
It was tough. I mean, it's in my mind, I told myself I was done probably a couple of weeks ago, but didn't say anything to people. Just kind of like, yeah, I'm rehabbing, I'm getting my foot better, doing some of this fence stuff on the side, and then, whatever happens, happens. But then as I got going in the process, like, all right, I'm just done, and officially putting it out there and kind of having people that I've played with or has helped me get to where I'm at, kind of reaching out and just, being able to thank a bunch of people that helped me get to the spot that I got to.
And going off that, I know your dad's probably your biggest fan. Kind of what has his support meant over the years?
I mean, it's been great. Somebody to be in sports as long as he had and kind of known the game like he does has been tremendous help because it's 142 games in the minor leagues, 162 games in the big leagues. It's a long year. I mean, I used to leave February 1st. I wouldn't get home till like the first week of October. So that's a long time. That's a lot of ups and downs. And my dad, my wife, my mom, Coach Hucks. I mean, the list goes on and on of people I was able to lean on, and even older guys that I played with. Michael Kahn, who's a Charleston native, was a big, big mentor for me going through the professional baseball ranks. So yeah, I mean, I had a great support system from the time I was 11, 12 years old when I kind of came on the map, for lack of a better word, where everything kind of started picking up, where became, I started to notice I was better than everybody I was playing with. I was starting to play with 18-year-olds and stuff like that. And, the support system I had at a young age of like Drew Cisco and Robbie Dodds and Reed Langdale and all those seniors I had at such a young age, like I've had good support through the entire way. I mean, I sit here thinking about it now. I mean, I had support from college players at CFC when I was 8 years old, like that don't even remember. Joey Friddle that played at South Carolina and then went to CFC. I idolized him because he went to South Carolina. So it was little things, all along the way that people helped me. You definitely don't get to where I got without a lot of help from a bunch of people.
And going off that, I know you were a first round pick and may not have had the career that you wanted to in the bigs. How would you maybe describe your journey, kind of from the first round pick through where you are today?
The thing with baseball is, and people that have been in it know, especially in professional baseball, a lot of it's timing. There were a lot of times where the timing just wasn't in my favor. I got hurt in 2019 for the first time severely with my thumb. They needed a roster spot, and I was the odd man out, so I get DFA'd and released, and that kind of starts the merry-go-round. Go to Cincinnati, play well, things don't work out. Was possibly going to go up in September, things didn't work out. Go to Texas, more or less make that team out of camp, and COVID happens. So like the timing of it, the timing's got to be good. If you're not a Mike Trout, Bryce Harper, Chris Bryant type guy that is just going to be, a major league superstar, timing's got to be huge for guys. And unfortunately, with injuries or whatever, timing was never really right. Last year in Chicago, I was in AAA and took a foul ball to the cup and was down for 2 days, had to go to the hospital and all that, and ended up missing a call up the next day. One of my good friends, Sebi Zavala, who now is one of the best catchers in the big leagues, took advantage of that opportunity, has hit He went up there and hit like 300 and all that, and one of the best receivers in baseball. Now he's a big leaguer. So it's all about timing. I felt like I was kind of on the wrong side of timing for the most part towards the end there.
What about when you look back? Maybe it's getting caught. You got caught up in Toronto, correct?
Correct.
Whether it's getting caught up in Toronto or hitting the home run here at the Trop, kind of what are some of your fondest memories of the bigs?
My best memories, a lot of it really isn't like, it doesn't have anything to do with the game, because honestly, when you're like, that's the biggest stint I spent up there in September. Like, I don't really remember much of the games. I remember some success. I remember hitting a homer, and I remember pointing up to the 15 people or so that were there. But like, I don't really remember running the bases. I don't remember the high five. Like, I don't remember the game stuff. But I remember being in the sports bar after, that game and at the Trop with all those people and being able to enjoy it. I remember being, you go from being in a Hampton Inn, Holiday Inn, Motel 6 type thing to, okay, now I get called up. I'm in Toronto. Me and my wife gets flown in. My dad's there. My stepmom's there. We're staying in a Ritz-Carlton 5-star hotel. Like, the dinner we went to that night was an unbelievable steakhouse. So it's that kind of stuff that I remember. Like, in Texas, I remember fondly like going to Jeff Mathis's house a handful of times after playing golf with like him and Lance Lynn and Jordan Lyles, and just, I can sit here and list it on and on. I was talking to somebody the other day. One of my fondest memories, I was sitting around in the backyard at like just a table on a back porch, and it was me, my roommate Jimmy Herget at the time when we were with Texas, and it was like Lance Lynn, all those guys I just named. And I'm sitting around looking, there's 100+ years of service time, and like, these are the guys in the big, like, some of these are the studs that are in the big leagues. Lance Lynn is probably one of my most favorite pitchers of all time. And I'm sitting in the kitchen looking outside, watching Lance Lynn sweat on the steak that he's cooking us on the grill because he's got his shirt off. Like, it's little things like that where you get to hang out with these guys when they're real people and not the stress of playing Major League Baseball. So those nights and the catcher's dinners, the bullpen dinners, all those kind of things that go along with being a big leaguer that I'll really remember.
I guess going off that, I know that you kind of idolize people growing up, but when you're in the minors or maybe in the majors, all of you are competitors. You're not trying to idolize anybody. Was there maybe somebody that you caught, somebody that you faced in the box, or somebody maybe when they stepped in the box when you're catching that you realized, like, wow, this guy is right here in front of me?
Mm-hmm. So I think the biggest thing for me was getting called up and being in one of the, like, oh wow moments, I guess you would say, in the big leagues. Is kind of like, oh, we're here. Is I'm in the Trop. The umpire behind me is Cubby, who's from Spartanburg, South Carolina, and in walks Brett Gardner to home plate. And I'm thinking back to when I was his bat boy, and now he's in the box. And I don't know if there's ever been a battery like that at home plate in the major leagues where every single person, including the umpire, was from South Carolina. But he ended up trying to bunt there, and I made a dive and play on him and made a catch. But that was one of those cool moments where I'm like, wow, Brett Gardner's like actually in the box. That's somebody I knew and I really looked up to. And I was like, there were two people I always wanted to play against, and it was Brett Gardner and Michael Kahn. I never got a chance to face Michael Kahn, and if he sees this, he's probably laughing because he's always told me he would have given me 3 fastballs down the middle. But those two instances would have been something I really would have looked forward to.
You mentioned kind of the catching thing with the White Sox. What is next for you?
So right now, with the slow off season, we had started a fence company. Me and one of my best friends, Player Loving, that was a pitcher at College Charleston for a couple of years, did the fence thing. It was funny. Once we got it all set up and ready to go, I got called to go play for the Yankees the next day. So I was literally building a fence on a Thursday and then hopped in the truck Friday, drove down to Tampa for spring training. But yeah, we just been doing that, trying to get that going as much as possible. And this summer, man, I really just want to feel normal, like have some normalcy in life where it's not like, okay, I got to go here, I got to go there. Like, I haven't had a summer since I was probably 11 years old. I see all the kids up at the pool now, at our neighborhood pool. Like, I haven't seen that in years because everybody's in school, and like just seeing all the kids running around and everybody's out on the golf course and going on the boat on the weekends. Like, I'm really looking forward to not having to squish my entire life at home into 5 months of an off season. So it's going to be interesting. Baseball may be something that I get back into after this summer or something like that. But I think I really want to take some time to step away and just kind of be, for lack of a better word, kind of be a kid.